and I'm going to go ahead and start recording. So we're going to be recording now.
Okay.
All right. Let's see if we are. We should be. There we go. We are happening. I can see us. I can see us. We're live. All right. Good. Fantastic. Give me one more minute. Yep, we're good. Okay, just checking. Hi, everybody. We're a little early. Hi, Sarah. Oh, that's great. Aren't you in school? So they have this new thing now where they keep doing the captions. Gosh, they keep trying all this new stuff. It's driving me nuts. Okay, great. So we've got quite a few people. Hi, everybody. You know who I am. Welcome back. Caroline Best to the Tao of Horsemanship. This is Everything Horses and More weekly podcast where we are educating, liberating, and empowering horse owners around the world. And you know who my lovely co-host is, Sabrina Arbogast, and she's here to collect any of your questions. We are back with beautiful Emily Feeley. We had her on April 14th, and Emily was our guest, and her topic, our conversation April 14th was the magic of connection with your horse. That was beautiful. We got a lot of really good reviews from that podcast. And so today's podcast, you guys, is how horses help us become better versions of ourselves, part 2. And I asked Emily to join me again because she does such a wonderful job. Number one, being able to articulate yourself and, you know, share your story. You have a lot to share, and I love that. And you're so eager to share your journey back into, into horses. And we're going to kind of pull a little bit of what we've been talking about. I think also not just in April's podcasts, but in March, where I was talking about consensual partnership a little bit. And we're going to pull in Emily's podcast topic the other week about connection, the magic. And then it's all part of this. Everything always connects. It's really beautiful. And then, of course, if anybody has any comments, please share your comments and share your experiences during this podcast on our live Facebook. And we will I will begin with sharing some articles that I've collected. And I know we're early. I feel bad for some people because they get on at noon and they're like, wait.
Recorded.
Yeah, it's recorded.
Yes.
We just never know with the internet and technology. Facebook keeps changing things almost on a weekly basis. So we're just glad that we're here. And you guys aren't waiting 15 minutes. Oh my gosh, for us to connect. All right, so there's 2 articles I'm gonna introduce that I think they're gonna help us definitely get into this conversation about how horses help us become better versions of ourselves. I don't know how familiar some of you are, our audience, or Emily, I can ask you this question too, and Sabrina, how familiar is everyone with equine facilitated learning? So that's EFL. I know quite a few of our students in the Mastery Membership Program, and many of my students, period, are familiar, or they've participated, or they've volunteered, or they've even done some coaching and maybe gotten certified in EFL. Emily, do you know anything about equine facilitated learning?
I wouldn't say officially, not in a actually studied capacity. What I do know about it, I'd say, is from my experience and just how my horses have helped me learn up until this point.
And yep, good. That's going to be good, because the 2 articles that I pulled are from EFL, either certified coaches or therapists. And so this is good. It just brings more awareness and education out there in the equine facilitated learning capacity, therapeutic learning. And this is not the same as therapeutic riding or really, has nothing to do with the therapeutic riding, period. So this type of therapy that horses are asked to contribute, participate, or made to do is more along the lines of emotional and mental, recovery for people. And so it's very broad. Like, it covers the Wounded Warrior projects where they
Yeah.
use equine assisted therapeutic programs. It covers EGALA. It covers, as I just said, EFL. And there's a lot of different divisions, so to speak, in EFL, or a lot of different types of certification, a lot of different branches of EFL where people can specialize in specific programs that have been created where horses are co-facilitators. I hate to use the word used, but
Yeah.
it depends on the mindset. I like to say, even in my work, that my horses are co-facilitators of that work, whether we're doing videos or we're doing immersions, any riding lessons to my students. My horses are definitely teachers. And so it's a different mindset, is the point I'm trying to make when we think about horses like this. When you choose the language, like, my horses are co-facilitators, I'm not using them, you know what I mean, to do videos, to do lessons, because they are teachers. And so
Absolutely.
so we're kind of setting the stage right now for this podcast to just think about it differently. If you haven't thought about horses as being a teacher, and in the capacity to teach you a lot about yourself in so many different ways, on a personal one-on-one, you with all of us with our own personal horses, but then also people that come. And I've done a lot of EFL. I'm not certified under anyone, equine facilitated learning, but it's all part of what I teach, including all the way through my riding, the levels of riding that I teach, from beginner to intermediate to advanced. It's the horses, my horses are schoolmasters. And even if they weren't schoolmasters, and they're at different levels of schoolmaster, even if they were not, like, let's say Blue's at the age and the mentality to be ready to go into a riding program of mine and learn. Even if you came in to ride Blue, I mean, that's the way we think about it. It's a mindset. Blue's still a teacher. He's still there to have a conversation with you. He's still there to speak. We are supposed to listen. Even though I might know more than Blue as his teacher, mentor, you know what I mean? I'm responsible, just as all teachers should be, no matter how old your student is or how skilled your student is or isn't. It's our job as a teacher, when we take on that responsibility, to listen to our student, and the horse is a student. And even in that process of Blue being a student and learning, he still has a lot to teach. He could teach me that, hey, Caroline, your approach doesn't work for me, or that particular timing didn't work for me. It's pretty cool, it's really cool. And I think I'm bringing this up because I have so many years involved with this mindset and the way that I teach, and my own personal education as a student of the horse and a student of what's out there, that broadens the scope of understanding regarding what horses can offer us. They're not just a means anymore of agriculture and transportation. There's still an ego. There's still a means of ego, big time, whether it's competition or even when it's not. Our ego gets in the way. Oh, look what I can do with my horse. Isn't this cool? So that exists in everything. Doesn't matter what you're doing. So anyway, just kind of putting that out there, you guys, to think. And again, share your stories. Like, it can be a one sentence or a paragraph. Your horse has taught you what has your horse taught you, recently, over the years, and not just taught you in your horsemanship. Taught you in the scheme of life, so like, my horse has taught me to be a better listener. If that's what you want to say, then how does being a better listener, how does that how does that influence the rest of your life? It's not just a better listener for your horse, right? It's a better listener maybe for your family members, your students, your loved ones, your employees. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm headed with all of this. All right, the first article, and again, if anybody has any questions, just let Sabrina know, so I can expand and offer as much knowledge as I possibly have. One of these articles is from Psychology Today. Often when I'm reading articles, I pull from some really well-known resources, and Psychology Today is one of them. And this is an equine article, or I'll pull from like, a major publication that I think is really good, not just because it's so popular. That doesn't mean it's really good, but Psychology Today is pretty good. So I'm going to start with that one. And it's a really short article, you guys. The author is Diane Dreher. I did not write down the year. I think this was 2015. So Diane Dreher, PhD. She's a positive psychology coach. Pretty cool, but she writes about horses. So why do horses help us heal? The promise of equine therapy. And I'm bringing these articles up because it's all full circle. It's connect the dots. It's all part of horses helping us be better versions of ourselves. And I particularly pulled these articles. So Diane writes, with their powerful stature and ability to run with the wind, horses have intrigued humans for centuries. Strong yet sensitive, with their attentive ears and large expressive eyes, horses are wary of predators. They spook in response to a noise or sudden movement. And for decades now, horses have been included in therapy. What is it about horses that helps people heal? An article in the International Journal of Clinical and Health Psychology offers some clues. And this is back in 2005. This article, not the one I'm reading, but the one she's relating to. Horses have been used in animal-assisted therapy, AAT, since the early 1970s. Wow, it's a long time. It hasn't been that popular until, for me, it really became more popular in the early 2000s. In equine facilitated psychotherapy, interacting with horses helps clients explore their feelings. And Emily, I've thought about you with stuff like this.
It's my dream, I have to say. That's the route.
That's why I wanted you to participate in this too. So in equine facilitated psychotherapy, interacting with horses helps clients explore their feelings. Keenly aware of emotional energies, horses sense what we're feeling, sometimes better than we do. With a few well-chosen words and a forced smile, we may be able to hide our real feelings from another person. We may even hide our own deeper feelings from ourselves, but we cannot fool a horse. Horses can sense emotions that lurk beneath the surface of our awareness and mirror them back to us, showing us what we have been avoiding. And like the Rogerian therapists from the 2005 article, horses are honest and present, responding openly without pretense. You know where you stand with a horse. So true.
So true.
Building a trust with such a sensitive animal takes time that can become a healing, empowering process. For years now, children with a range of issues, including ADHD, autism, eating disorders, abuse, depression, and anxiety, have benefited from equine therapy. The many ways of interacting with a horse, offering it carrots and apples, feeding, grooming, and cleaning up after it, leading it around on a long line, saddling up and riding, gradually develop these children's self-awareness and sense of agency. In communicating with the horse, they learn patience, attention, compassion, and responsibility. I'd like to add, you learn character, character building, you learn confidence, you learn a lot of things. So they learn these things, leading to a greater understanding of themselves and others. As a study maintains, a therapeutic bond with the horse can help grow mutual trust, respect, affection, empathy, unconditional acceptance, confidence, personal success, responsibility, assertiveness, communication skills, and self-control. Yes. By
I feel like you're
mindfully,
telling me my story, Caroline.
yes, I love it. God, I know I love this. By mindfully relating to a horse, troubled children can learn the deep healing lesson of trust. And I want to add a lot. I don't know if we'll finish in this today's, I talk about holding the space or creating the space, don't I, in my work? And it's an energetic space that I teach. And so, you know, I want to add some things that just take it a lot deeper, because it's not just about earning a horse's level of trust, that allows people of any age, children and adults, to gain this greater understanding of themselves. Horses, and this is part of Heart Math, the Institute of Heart Math that does studies on equines, and we've talked a lot about this in the program. There's scientific study and proof regarding the horse's heart being such a large organ. Our brains are larger than the horse's brain, and it's a big animal, but their hearts are much larger than ours. Of course, they're big. So the heart has to be able to handle the size. But there is an electrical frequency and energetic component to the horse's heart rhythm. And when a horse is in a self-regulated state, their nervous system is self-regulated. And also, I've written articles on the hippocampus area when they're producing endorphin, when they're relaxed and in a state of calm. And that state of relaxation and state of calm for horses and humans, it does the same things. And it does the same chemical release in the brain, which is, I talk and write about PTSD. It does the same thing in their throughout the nervous system for horses and humans. So it's really amazing how, when you are asking your horse to co-facilitate in a therapeutic way with your clients, you've got to pick the right horse that can go into that space and hold that space and not own that person, your client's energy field or emotions. And that's one of the hardest thing that I have doing the work that I do is there are so many equine facilitated therapeutic programs and organizations, and a lot of them don't choose horses well or wisely. And they also don't know how to restore a horse. And so I've been called in over the years, especially when I lived up north from, up in New England, even down here in Florida. When I first came, I was called actually to a therapeutic riding program, the biggest in Florida, down near Tampa. And I was called because they found me, and I specialize in, horses, period, but also in rehabilitation and foundation, as you all know that know me. And so they called me because they had several horses in their therapeutic riding program that went rogue. They just snapped. Mm-hmm. And you guys can only imagine how dangerous this is, because these horses are handling adults and children with emotional and mental and physical challenges. And you've got two handlers on each, a handler on each side, and these horses have either taken off, or it's been horrible. And thank God, this is amazing with horses. They do their best not to hurt you in those situations. So none of the people were really injured, but the horses were. They actually got physically injured, and then they were emotionally traumatized, and they snapped. And so they called me to look at several horses. So I came down to do an assessment, and I was, I'm always open, but I get into a situation and I can see it and feel it. And what they wanted me to do, I refused, because I'm like, you want me to basically take these horses back. And I was actually Debbie and Glenn's, where you're at, Emily. So
wow.
I couldn't do anything. I didn't have a facility.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you actually want me to take these horses and rehabilitate them and put them right back in this situation? And I'm like, absolutely not. You don't understand that you do not have the right horses for this. And unless you do the work that I do, it can take years, and you still have to ask the horse if this is what they want to do, and also be mindful of, can you guys imagine, how would you personally, as a human being, like to be 5 days a week thrown into a psych ward?
Yeah.
Now, granted, a psych ward is going to be full of people and strange emotions and energy and very conflicting and crazy. Whereas this barn or facility isn't exactly a psych ward, but these horses are feeling the same energy from their horsey friends that are not happy. Just because they're not all roaming around the same area at the same time, they're in a pasture together, they're stabled together. Sometimes, they're interacting in a therapeutic setting, kind of together. And horses are so sensitive and intelligent, and they could feel they're better than we are. They're so tuned in. They live in their intuitive senses. We don't live in our intuitive senses. We suppress it. We're too cognitively advanced, and we just forget about the intuitive, which is really just being sensory aware. And so that's where the horse lives all the time. So it's constantly being electrocuted by our environment. And we put them in, to me, it's like a psych ward. You've just put this horse into a freaking psych ward, because now it's got to deal not only with the stress level of its fellow equine friends that are not happy dealing with a multitude of human issues. All these people are coming in with all these different issues, from mental to emotional to physical. These horses are just taking all of this in like a sponge, because that's what the horse does. And now they're learning learned helplessness. They're learning how to just shut down and check out. And then they can only take so much, and they snap. And so I basically was speaking in tongues when I talked like this to someone who specializes in one of the world's leading equine facilitated therapeutic organizations in Florida. Yes, it is the number one in Florida, and it is one of the leading in internationally. And I'm like sitting there telling her, of course I pissed her off, and it's all, I'm just like, no, I wouldn't take your horses. I'd have to assess them and see where they really belong. And you've got to have the right horse. It's not about the right temperament. That is ridiculous. That's horrible when people say, oh, you got to have the right temperament, to deal with this. No, it's like nobody wants to deal with it. No horse wants to deal with it, and no human wants to deal with it unless they choose it. And even if you choose it, you're going to get burnt out. Yes, go.
I was just going to say that it's the same sense. Like, you gave me an analogy one time that you were like, Emily, are you going to go drive this warship? You have no training. You've never done it. And I just kind of looked at you, and you were go, no, you're not. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You're going to like kill yourself and probably people. So it's the same thing.
You were like, yeah, I can drive that warship. And I'm like, but you don't know anything about the controls. I don't know anything about the controls.
And it's the same for the horses, that in those situations, just because they have the capability to help us as people to heal from whatever, doesn't mean, like you said, they're the right horse, or that they can just automatically do it. We as the people and the teachers and their caretakers have to provide them with the right tools, and you have to listen to them.
Well,
and if they're telling you
the right horse, it's not just the right tools.
Yeah.
The horse has to show an interest and has to be able to daily, you've got to monitor how that horse is handling it. Are they getting oversaturated? Yes. And let's back up to that. When I made that metaphor, that analogy, that was also, if I'm correct, about self-sabotage, because you have this gung-ho, like many of us, gung-ho, I can do it, man. I'm up for the challenge. But I'm like, yeah, but it's like, oh, I'm up for the challenge of flying a helicopter. I might as well say I'm ready to die, right?
Yeah. So
it's like being really realistic. And a lot of humans don't think about the horse. They don't consider the horse in situations. So that's a good analogy for what we're talking about too, because it's the human's mindset that says, oh yeah, we can do this, or I'm going to make it happen. But it's like, what's best for the horse though? So yeah, it's a really tough fine line. And I when I was at Tufts University many years ago doing a speaking engagement, and I was also meeting one of their leading researchers on equine emotions and the effects of certain disciplines, equine sports, the effects in equine facilitated therapeutic programs were part of this sports and recreation and disciplines. You know, everything that the horse is asked to do, what does it enjoy the most, the least, and where do they start developing displaced behaviors? So I was in this big barn outside, I think it was somewhere in New England, I think it was in Vermont, associated, it was part of Tufts University and research. And so I got to walk, you know, in this big barn and look at all of these different horses that were asked to do all of these different types of disciplines and activities. And the horses that showed the most and the most extreme displaced behaviors, anxiety, like weaving, like elephants when they're stuck in a cell. So here they are in their stall and they're weaving, and they take that out into the pasture. They're right in front of the fence. You know, the cribbing, the weaving, the pawing, the like buddy sour, anxiety, all of those horses that acted that way in this barn were all related to therapeutic programs.
Interesting.
Yes. So I couldn't wait for them. This is a long time ago. This is probably like 2014. I couldn't wait for them to come out with their research. And I never did follow up with that, but it was just supported everything that I already knew and learned and experienced. I was on the board for a long time before I got back into horses. My dad and I were on the board of one of not the founder of EGALA, but someone that was teaching EGALA. And EGALA's changed a lot, you guys, in the last 20 years. And so when we were on the board for 4 years to help with this, one of my students who had started EGALA down on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and she was not choosing horses wisely. And we left because she would not listen to me. My dad and I left, and she happened to have a horse that always was moody and pinny and didn't want to participate in a group setting with other horses and clients. And this mare, I'm just going to say it's a mare. You got to be careful with mares. This mare ended up going after one of the mini ponies in a group setting with horses and clients. And it was children. And it was not mindful at all. And this is someone that practiced, you know, Pirelli and natural horsemanship, and you know, thought she knew a lot more than she did. And when Mary, this horse, went after the mini, it ended up nailing a young kid and caused him severe brain damage. You guys, he was never the same. And she had a lawsuit. And Dad and I said, we're out. Could have told you this was going to happen. You don't want to listen to me. What do I know? So she's just an example of many, though, that people just, oh, I love this, what we're talking about today. I've got a couple of rescue horses. And that's what she was. I've got a couple of rescue horses. So this horse came with her baggage, right? Didn't trust people, didn't care about people. I would have never used a horse like that. Absolutely. I mean, other horses were intimidated. You know, it's like me pulling Zor into an environment where he's not ready and he thinks he's hot shot, right? You guys know Zor, and he starts bossing everybody around, and they're fearing for their life. So their self-preservation sets in, and they're going to take care of themselves if it means they run someone else over, you know? People just don't think. And on a deep level, we really need to consider the horse's emotional health and well-being. It's just crazy. And how do you know how to gauge that? How do you even know? So I'm going to read the second article, and I just wanted to, it's an offshoot. I know I'm kind of going off on what our major focus for this podcast is, but that's just who I am. And
I think it's a great topic, Caroline. I think you're making great points, and they importance of people actually considering the horse in these things,
Yes.
because they are sensitive in their energy. And if you want to use them for therapy and to help you and to help others, you also need to take them into account.
Thank you. That's a good
So
point.
I think
That's why I was talking
this
about
is
it. It's
great.
like,
Yeah, I think
have
this
a
is great.
baseline right here, you know, and so often, and with my students, I hear stuff all the time, you know, I get emailed personally or something comes up on Facebook, you know, with our mastery membership students. And, you know, I'm like, sometimes I don't answer because I'm not, you know, I'm like, you need to think about this, or you and I need a little bit more, we need some coaching because this is such a mirror of you, but you're not ready to see it. And until you start shifting your mindset and taking the time to consider the horse and how you are affecting the horse, that you actually can affect the horse. And I know there's a lot of other, you know, professional trainers out there, leading experts that, you know, believe in what I'm saying and don't believe in what I'm saying. And they're always trying to back all this up with science. And science is great. You know, I want to back stuff up, but it's only going to get you so far. And a lot of times when we are so glued or married to science, it's such a laser focus and it's so cerebral, and it doesn't allow you to see all the other areas that are equally important to gathering information or finding the best and appropriate result or solution, if you know what I mean. And it's like science often creates mechanics. And when you get real mechanical in anything, it becomes habitual and there's no thinking and there's really no feeling, because habituation is second nature, is a conditioned response. People do it with horses all the time. And people get into that. It's no different than, you know, where you're driving, you don't even need to know the address, you remember it, and you're talking on the phone at the same time and touching your hair in the mirror. I know I can do that. It's not just multitasking, but it's like, you already know how to do all these things. You don't even think about them, right? So yeah. Anyway, let me read the next article and we'll go on. So the next article is from a specific organization, and lessons learned from horses. How can horses help you learn about yourself? And so they do this specific work. And I didn't write down the website or the author, because I also, you know, this is more personal, so I'm not going to. All right. They write, through our experiential learning workshops, I get asked the question frequently, well, how can horses help me learn about myself? At the core of this work is allowing the horse to show up as their true, purest selves and share, and share with us humans their teaching and healing powers. You see the roaming free, then joining with us to reach distant lands, fight wars, provide transportation, competition, and pleasure. I didn't write this. That doesn't really make sense. What a gift horses have been in our lives to help one another evolve. This history is woven into our ancestry and contributes to our growth as evolving beings. Working with horses provides a space for self-reflection. See, a lot of people talk about this, but they don't explain how. That's what we're going to try and talk about today. There is a common phrase in the horse world that horses are our mirrors. And you all know I believe in that, meaning that they reflect to us what we are truly feeling and experiencing on the inside, not the illusion we are trying to put off on the outside. You agree with that, Emily?
100%.
Sabrina, yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah, we talk about it all the time. Yeah, horses see us at the core of our being. And when we try to mask this, they react in ways to let us know that we are not matching on the inside. Or we're not matching, yeah, she doesn't write well. We are not matching the inside on the outside or whatever. When our feelings, experiences match inside and out, it is called being congruent. You know how I love that word. We use it all the time. When our feelings, experiences on the inside are masked on the outside, it's called being incongruent. So here's an example. A person comes to visit their horse at the barn. They just got done with a heated argument on the phone with someone. As they walk out to the pasture to halter their horse, they act happy and the horse trots away. Still truly upset from the phone call, the person is now getting frustrated and upset that their horse is being difficult to catch. All they want to do is relax and hang out with their horse that brings them peace. The horse is sharing with them an important message, though. They're saying, I don't want to be around all the negative energy you're putting off right now. Try catching me again once you've calmed down or admitted that you are still too upset. This is key. I'll come back to that. Once they take a moment to reflect on and observe while their horse might be trotting away from them, they begin to take deep breaths and shake off the argument from earlier. The horse begins to now approach the person as they become more congruent and calm. So that makes sense, doesn't it? Anybody out there that's listening, you know, she did a really good job explaining how. And I say to my students all the time, you know, just be honest, be authentic about how you feel. When I have to work with my horses, I've got to work with them. And when you can come into that space, being aware and owning how you feel, don't dismiss it, don't suppress it, own it. God, I feel like shit today. I'm pissed off. But I need to be with you because your calming energy horse helps me. Here's that whole heart rhythm and heart math. And I know the way I'm teaching you guys, this is science. Anytime we do anything rhythmic, we create meditation, and meditation is really the release of endorphins. And so rhythm helps you self-regulate. It does for the horse too. And so think about that. Look at how much we do, from grooming to bathing to the way we ride in rhythm to our groundwork that becomes regulated and rhythmic. It's soothing to both horse and person. And so, you know, I do this work for a living, so it's easy for me to just switch, you know, come into that space. My horses don't fear me. They used to, don't get me wrong. We have to practice this and develop this ability to go, damn it, I am upset, I'm pissed off, whatever it is, I can be just as strong as I am right now. And I'm also letting it go. And I know the minute I connect and I touch, I know how to let it go, you guys. So I own it, I'm congruent. And even if I touch my horse and they might be like, oh God, Caroline, you kind of electrocuted me, but we have such a great bond and I trust you so much that I'm going to help you. And sure enough, here I go to grooming or whatever I do, I'm releasing the whole time. So there is a practice. You can't just think about this, you guys. It's not that easy. You know, you've got to learn how to set yourself up to practice these ways of being honest, authentic, owning it, not being afraid of it. And then releasing it. That's why I chose this article. That was a very poignant point. Okay, share with us, you two. Emily, I'm going to start with you. You and I've talked about, and Sabrina, we've all talked. Oh my gosh, I came into Amora space, man, and that's your little filly, and you're like,
Yeah,
and
it's
different than Adone. She's going to handle you differently. It's not about trust right now. It's not about your bond. Those things will help her understand you better, okay? But when you first had her, you guys couldn't connect because Adone was used to your energy. He understood you. You had a relationship. And then she was like, oh, hell no, I don't know you. And wow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She was a firecracker. I mean, and she still is. Like her, I've learned to love her personality, and I love the challenge she brings.
They are so honest.
But she is, and what I was going to say is, with Adanye, if I'm having a bad day, I will go and I will just tell him. I will be like, how are you today, bud? My day sucked, like, and I just, like you said, I had to learn to just be honest and own it. And one of the ways I did that is I talk through stuff. And, one of the things with Adani I run into now is sometimes he's so mellow that it's like, okay, I need you to like wake up here. And I learned to talk to him and just to tell him and just say, hey, I need you here right now. I know it's hard. I know whatever's going on, or to let him know where I'm at. And I can do that with him. I can just like you were saying, I can really just, if I need to like, I've never yelled in front of him, but if I just need to be like, oh my God, da, 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 you know, like I can do that. Probably if
Yes.
I had my own barn, I probably would.
Yeah. Oh,
With
God.
Amora, I'm not there yet. You know, like she'll be like, whoa,
Yes.
what is it? So I have to talk more rhythmically with her. I have to be more conscious of how I'm approaching her with my energy, but
But she
still being honest
yes. Keep in mind
with
too,
her.
the double-edged sword here, so to speak, is horses come with damage,
Yep.
you know, and
And she has a
trauma and
lot.
baggage too. And she has a lot. So you guys just don't have, like when I was, you know, electrocuting my horses too, back in the day when I got back in and figuring all
Yep.
this out, you know, they come with their own stuff. And so until they're in a place of well-being and emotional balance where they don't own your shit and they don't feed
Yep.
off of it, and they know how to self-regulate and they know how to look for positive influences, not negative, because horses
Yep.
like people, the law of attraction, horses like people will gravitate to what they know the most and where they feel. So until they're healthy, so to speak, you know, that's a normal process. You know what I'm saying? Like she's
Yeah.
not
Oh
ready.
yeah.
It's not just you. And that's what I want
Oh
you all
yeah.
to know. It's not just you all the time, you know, while you're learning X, Y, and Z to be authentic and more congruent and to be able to sit with the uncomfortable. And your horses also need to get healthier. So that's all. Yeah. So it's not always you.
Yeah. No, and that's something I think they've taught me, is that to own what's mine and not own what's not mine.
Yeah.
And actually, I hadn't talked to you about this yet, but they took off on me. Like I was gonna let them graze, and Adani was very happy to hang out. We were doing the barn on Fridays for Glenn and Debbie, and I let Amora out. And as soon as she stepped by me, she was gone. Like she just was like gone. So Adanye, that's one of those challenges where when she's that much energy, you can see him go, okay, mom, okay, what do I do? And he's not
Well,
quite sure.
he
So he
worries
took
about
off.
her. Remember, he's her
Yes.
guardian. It's not buddy
Yes.
power so much
Nope.
between the two. He cares about her.
Oh yeah. He's just
So
like,
went
he's
to
like a
go get
big
her.
brother.
He
And so
is. So
they're
what happened?
running. Oh my gosh. Jonas he was like ready to strangle me. Cause I was like, I was just gonna let him graze. You know, I was just hang out so we could do this all.
That's what
And
happens though. You learn. I know.
it does. And she ran to the front of the property and back. And then my energy, I got a little too big with them and it sent her off again. And so she ran back and forth. And I have to say, I'm so proud of Adanye, because you could see him trying. And at one point, she was kind of like, he was like, I don't know what your deal is. And he left her and came to me, and I like reassured him, and then turned to go get her, and he took off. Like he was like, I'm out of here, you know, and was just like, I don't want anything to do with this. But what I was proud of in this chaos, right? And I was mad, you know, I'm yelling from the other end of the property, and I'm like, you guys are lucky you're freaking cute. I'm like, I'm gonna strangle you, because I'm literally walking from one end to the other of the
and
property.
that's I know that's a long driveway. I know it's a long driveway. Like a quarter mile or a
oh my gosh. Yes. Oh, but my husband, we got the car and kind of corralled them back towards the front, and I finally got them, and I stood. And I just stood there, and Amora's heavy breathing, and they're all huffing and puffing. I was like, did y'all have a good time? And I just talked to them, and we just stood in the moment. And I eventually went out to their pasture, and Amora stayed with me. Like, because I'm honest with where I'm at, and I'm not letting them be honest where they're at. And I'm honoring both of those spaces. So I didn't get them and yell and scream.
No,
and
the worst
any of that.
Yep. Do you know how many people would have hit them? So many people would have grabbed their horses and beat the crap out of them, they'll never come.
Oh my God, I couldn't imagine.
No, you created even a deeper level of trust and confidence in your ability as a leader by being honest, one. So they weren't like spooked, like, you're not being honest, I don't know what to read. You're like, look, this really pisses me off. You guys are a bunch of goofballs. I've got to learn though. You're learning. I love you. Let's just ground and hit the reset button.
Yeah.
So that was emotional agility for you too.
Oh yeah, it was. And my husband's mad, he's cleaning stalls and now there's this going
Husband.
on. And
Mhm.
he's, there's so much energy. And I told him at one point, I said, go away, just
Yeah.
go away. I'll
Let
handle
me
it.
handle it. Yep.
And we did, and we got them, but we're in the pasture and she's choosing to be with me now. And she walked away and I got her to come back to me. We did a little bit of work because I just wanted to
Yes.
reinforce this.
Perfect.
But I'm forgetting what my whole point was. But I think my point is just being honest with them allowed that to happen.
It felt good.
Allowed us to work through all of it. Oh my God,
Yeah.
it felt amazing. And I was so
Yep.
proud of her
Good for you.
that she's able to go from being way up here, and
Yeah.
you can see the PTSD, you can see the baggage and the trauma. And by honoring it, right? Like I'm not pushing her and saying, hey, you're supposed to be this and this and this.
Bad horse. Yep.
Bad horse. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm honoring her. And she goes, oh, okay. Mom's safe. This is okay. I exerted all this effort. I didn't need to. And I can watch her go from that PTSD brain to,
yep.
okay, I'm safe. And Adanye, like I was so proud of him. And it was kind of fun to watch him run because I don't get to see that very often. And I was like, man, I know. I was like, move that butt. At one point when he ran away, it was just a big butt and two back legs and that was interesting because he was like, screw you, sis. Like, you don't want to listen. I'm trying to help you. I'm out of here.
Oh,
and I let him be, I was like, I love you, bud. I appreciate you. Go. Like, you're good. So it is, but honoring them and letting them be themselves and not using them, right, for my agenda allows you to create that. And just, yeah.
It's huge. We can go on so much about this. And just on one quick note too, just remember she's young. It's like I've had a lot of experience with young horses, and it's typical for them to test their boundaries and say, I'm out of here. I mean, that is such normal behavior. I mean, honestly, just, it's kind of like if you're going to continue to do that, you don't want to create a pattern, but just be aware if you're in the mood where you're like, yep, they're probably going to take off. It's no big deal. It's gated. It's all enclosed. I'll get them later. Because it's going to take time to create the behavior, the mindset and the horses. She's young. Even, you can only do so much with a 4-year-old. Is she 5 this year?
She'll be 5. I don't know her exact birthday for either of them. So the month we got them is when I chose their birthdays. So she'll be 5 next month, and Adanye will be 15, I think.
Oh my gosh.
14 or 15. So so she's a baby, and I love it. Like I do. She drives me crazy sometimes, but I love her honesty, and she's so much more emotionally aware than I would say Adanye is. Like he sometimes is like your typical guy where he's like, whatever, mom. Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
you know, and she's like, Mom, I see you. I'm here. Like, okay, like talk to me.
Yeah, so, like what's going on? Yeah.
But it's just listening to the therapy stuff in the other article. It's like I'm relating to all of that, but it works because I'm as conscious about myself as I am about my horse. So I'm honoring both spaces. I'm not using them as a tool for my own therapy, and they're not using me as a tool for their therapy. We're in this together.
Yeah, that's beautifully
it's a partnership.
That's beautifully put, that you're not using them for your own therapy. They are also a guide. You respect them enough to allow them to teach you. It's profound. It's one other thing about Amora, your 4-5-year-old too. When you have a horse like her, because horses are unique individuals like people, very much so. And so her way of expressing when she doesn't feel safe is to question everything. And a lot of horses will when they don't feel safe. And a lot of horses will shut down too, you guys, and just completely go numb. And that's their way of dealing with conflicting emotions or energy with people, or people that confuse them because they're not congruent when they're trying to learn or teach the horse or just be emotionally agile. And your mare particularly is a flight. She goes into flight mode. So, for a horse that goes into flight mode, period, whether it's a male or female, they're always going to question you. Every little thing they're going to be very aware of. And so she by nature chooses flight, but also what she's learned in the past. Because when she first came to you, she was pretty shut down, wasn't she? She was very shut down.
She was. She didn't trust. She didn't. And she'd take care of herself. Like, you put the girl on the street and she would have a house and food, and like, she will make it work. You know, like, she would not suffer, but she did not trust, and she was very shut down. And my husband saw it in her though. He saw the try,
yes,
and then that desire, and so
fell in love immediately. That was beautiful. Yeah, it was beautiful to watch that. Sabrina, tell us real quick, because I know, girl, we talk about this stuff all the time. You know, and with everything, with kids, it's not just our horses. But give us an example. Which horse do you want to talk about? Or even your daughter?
You know, it's all three of them have a special place in my heart. And I was just thinking about what I would have liked to say about that. You know, I look at them like everybody else as my family. Yes. And then I look at Pistol.
Your daughter's horse.
Yes, and my daughter's horse. And she's like an aunt. I just respect her so much, you know, and she has that.
She takes such good care of your daughter.
She's amazing. She takes care of all of us.
Yeah.
And then there's Dash. That's really like my sister, you know, and she's amazing. We finally have that bond that I've always wanted with her. And then there is Karma.
Your daughter,
my
other daughter.
And that I literally treat like my daughter. She has her attitude, and sometimes I get onto her. Yes. And like you said, sometimes it's just better to just let it go.
Yes, because she's young like Blue.
Yeah, she's just great. And Karma is the one that shuts down. So I have to be careful with her. But she's gotten a lot better. I read her a lot better. But she, you know, when things get too much for her, she shuts down.
That's a good point. And like, I was bathing my babies this weekend. You guys saw the video with Zor, but I was bathing my baby, 3-year-old. Both Karma and Blue were born here on my farm from the previous owner, and we got them from the previous owner. And at Liberty, you know, my Blue, it's just, Blue comes out. We have a great bond. He will stay with me because it's just beautiful, you guys. But he was getting a little antsy because Lovey, Sundance, and Legend were also out in that little common area where there was some grass. So he was getting distracted. And I did the wrong thing. I did the wrong thing, period. And I did the wrong thing for Blue. So, oh my God, it was just crazy. So he was getting antsy. He's at the wash rack at Liberty, free. He was interested, and they were all lining up to get bathed. Everybody chose to get bathed, and it was his turn. And then he wanted to move over and go out with them. And I was just hosing him down, hadn't even gotten to the bath yet. And he went to step, and I think it was just a couple little times where he was a little antsy. And this time I got strong, too strong. And I smacked his shoulder like, hey, you know, but I was getting irritated. And I'm like, hey, knock it off. So that's what he was feeling. Plus I smacked his shoulder. He came back and looked at me like a human, just looked at me and was like, pinned his ears, got big like a giraffe, and just went, you didn't have to do that. He literally was like, you did not have to do that. That was totally uncalled for. And I had chills talking about this. Jen was standing there. She saw the whole thing. And I literally, that's what he said to me. And I just was like, I am so sorry. You are so right. You are so right. Will you just, and he does, forgive, I'm so sorry. All I had to say was, I'm so sorry. I was so wrong. I should have known better. And in that instant that I was true and congruent and authentic, and I'm like, I am so sorry, Blue. He just went, it's okay. And he just totally went right here to my chest. It's okay.
Oh my gosh.
And he was asleep with a foot cocked the rest of the time. It's
chills.
I mean, we're gonna do stupid things. We're gonna make mistakes. Everyone is in all of our relationships, but you got to be aware of it. You got to own it and talk about it and communicate and say you're sorry and make it right. And that what? Yes.
I was just thinking about my story that I was going to tell you.
Okay, go.
I
go.
already told you about it.
No, I'm done talking. It was beautiful though. Yeah,
Sorry, it
what?
just popped up. So I think it was Sunday. Me and my daughter, we decided to go ride. And in my pasture, there was always a gopher turtle that would go from one side to the next. Well, in the middle of the pasture, it would pop out and then continue its little way down
This little
my
trail.
pasture.
Yes.
So I have filled up that hole, I don't know how many times. But anyways, to start with it all, when I got Dash, she was 4 years old and she was a little bit of a flighty girl. I mean, I remember getting her, she would turn around, kick me, try to kick me. She would back. I told you a little bit about it. She was crazy.
Pretty extreme
Yes.
though. Yeah.
Well, anyways, so me and my daughter, we were riding.
Wait, and how old is Dash now?
Oh my gosh, Dash is now 11.
Okay, and you were riding Dash.
Yes, and I was riding Dash, and Peyton was riding Pistol, and I was not paying attention. Peyton was trotting, and of course, Pistol's trot is faster than Dash. So Dash was trying to catch up, and I wasn't paying attention, and she literally fell into that hole that the gopher made for us.
The gopher turtle.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the gopher turtle, and
And
she
they're
went-
deep, you guys.
It was deep. It was all the way up her leg.
Oh,
All I
gosh.
remember
Yeah.
is her head went down, her head hit the ground, and then she went sideways. And I was on my bareback pad, and I lost my balance, fell. But the most amazing thing about the story is, before she would run away when she could, this time she literally stayed with me and checked to make sure that I was okay. It was really, really awesome. She was there, like, she wouldn't even move. My daughter turned around after it happened. But my daughter turned around. She was just amazed by it all. She was like, Mom, you were on the ground and Dash literally stayed with you.
Oh,
and
I
she
love
was
it.
making sure that
Oh,
Yeah, I love it.
and at that moment, I like fell in love with her all over again with
I
all the
love it.
crap
Yes,
that we went through. And I was like in tears, and I was like, come here.
Yes.
And she came to
Oh.
me, and yeah, that was a really special moment for me. Well,
It's beautiful.
after.
Yeah.
I'm
After.
paying attention to that,
Oh my
but-
gosh.
but it really meant a lot to me.
The bonds are amazing.
Yes,
All the
yes, it
little
is.
and yeah, getting to that place where your horse cares about you, considers you, takes care of you to the best
Yeah.
of their ability is beautiful. Is beautiful. But yeah, I mean, you personally, not that we have to get anything too deeply, Sabrina, but you coming on board, with me years ago,
Yeah.
really, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but to summarize, I mean, you and I would talk all the time
Mhm.
about how you learned so much about yourself.
Oh, absolutely. And I still do. I actually had just an aha moment just a little bit ago when we were talking. So it's, all the time, because I always try to figure out how to become better.
Well, like,
than
yeah,
I was.
me smacking Blue and Blue having
Yeah.
that conversation with me, there is a perfect moment how I need to be better.
Yes.
Like, I was being impatient. That was rude. It was insensitive. It was, God, why did I do that I wouldn't do it to my cat, my dog, my kid. I mean, a person, it was horrible. It makes me want to cry talking about
I
it.
know it
It
makes
just,
you feel so
yeah,
bad.
it makes you feel so
Mhm.
bad. And he did everything beautiful because he's allowed to express himself. And I pinned his ears, looked at me like,
excuse you.
yeah.
Mhm.
I'm just proud, that he wasn't scared of that or anything. He actually came back and had a conversation with me. And I was like, and so that's the depth of all of this too, is I don't hit my horses, so he's not afraid. He was just kind of like, that was so inappropriate. That was so unnecessary of you.
Yep.
You didn't have to scream at me, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I was under a lot of stress. Sorry.
Mhm.
That's no excuse. But anyway, it's a good reminder, huh, guys?
Yeah.
Mm.
always.
Absolutely. Well, that's why Amora took off on Friday, because I had the whip and I wasn't big with it, but Adani just was like, I'm going to graze and not pay attention. And I thought about it, I was like, okay, well, she's at liberty, but I mean, I didn't put it at her. And I just kind of, flicked it at him a little bit to get his attention. And she was like, hell no, Mom, and was gone, and I had to own like the same kind of thing. Like, I felt bad and I apologized to her once I got her to come back to me, and I was like, I'm sorry. I know that's really hard. And I said, it wasn't at you. Like, I explained myself, but I
Yeah,
felt bad.
yeah, and yours is different though, because it wasn't about her. That's where
Yeah.
she needs confidence building. Because like
Yeah.
I can, you all know me, and I can bite my horse's butt if they deserve it, and they turn around and look at me and say they're sorry.
Yep.
If a horse is afraid of, or you do something, the horse is always going to tell you the truth. If you do something that isn't appropriate, they'll react appropriately. So
Yeah.
she still needs confidence building. Don't
Yeah.
take that out on yourself too much. Yeah, you might not have thought, because she was right there, you might not have been thinking. You came on strong because Adane understands, he's not afraid. But yeah, I know. Anybody have any questions?
Yes.
Okay, let's get some questions real quick.
All right, Yvonne. My Andra will be 1 year tomorrow. I'm starting to lunch her, and instead of running around me, she runs to me for love, hugs, and kisses. Karma does that. How do I get her to run away, lunge? I don't want to scare her. I guess my question is, how do I set boundaries with her if she's my baby but needs to learn to listen? I'm right there with you.
Oh my God, I love it. Yvonne, that's great. Thank you for you always hang out with us on our podcast. That's great. So I don't know, Yvonne. My first question would be, are you a student of the Mastery Membership Program? I'm not sure. And I bring that up not to sell you the program if you're not a student, but there is so much that you need to learn when you are developing a young horse. And she's 1 year old. There should be no intensive training for a young horse until the age of 4. So that doesn't mean that you're not doing things on a daily basis or here and there for a week or 2 at a time, or maybe you take 30 days, to just get her used to something. You still need to create good behaviors. And with young horses, they're like kids, man, you just got to keep doing it. Consistency, repetition, and reward until the foundation is there. And so I posted a diagram on my Caroline, I think I shared it with all my Facebook. So it should be on the Dow, of an illustration that I found of the horses, not just muscular, but bone structure, and, at what bones develop fully at what age. And so just remember, horses don't fully develop their bone, so to speak, until the age of 7, especially their spine for riding. And so if you're, want your horse to be learning how to round pen or free lunge or lunge on line at the age of 1, it should be done very slowly, and with the thought of all the appropriate building blocks to get your horse physically relaxed and mentally relaxed. And it really doesn't need to be anything but a big working walk at that age. Okay, or you could create a lot of damage as they, doing something wrong if they're moving incorrectly for a month, you could cause severe bone damage, seriously, because they're leaning, they're dropping a shoulder, they're not balanced. And so, there's a lot that goes into developing young horses. It should go very slow. So I understand that she wants to come in for the love, and I think that's beautiful. And you could practice certain exercises that I teach, like teaching her how to lead behind you and away from you, how to send around you. But everything should be done slowly to encourage lots of mental and physical relaxation. And that's the level of strength building that you want right now, and emotional agility, balance. You don't want to be doing a lot with a young horse like that. They could really hurt themselves. I hope I answered that okay. I mean, I have specific exercises.
I think that's great.
Yeah, that your young horses have to learn respect for space, so you don't get kicked in the face, run over, yada, yada, yada. But it has nothing to do with speed. You should not be running them around.
She said, okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Good. Anybody else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, we're pretty much, Emily, anything else you want to add before we wrap up? We've been here for about an hour now.
I think the only thing I would say is kind of what I said earlier, is that the key to all of this and to using horses for, some kind of therapy or rehabilitation, because my horses have definitely been an integral part of my recovery from PTSD.
Yes.
But the reason, like I said before, it works is because I honor myself as much as I honor them. They're not a tool. They're not there to serve me.
You're sensitive. You're sensitive to them.
Yes.
You're to them. You're not
and
selfish.
That's why absolutely not. And that's why it's worked for me, because I honor that. And I think that's the piece people need to connect to, that yes, they can do amazing things, but one, if you're not honoring who they are, like we were talking about earlier, and what they have to offer and where they're at emotionally, physically, and if you're also not giving them the ability and the tools, you're setting them up for failure, just like you would set yourself up for failure. And we need to change that mindset, because
education is yep, education's key and knowledge is power.
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
there's so many of these quick videos on YouTube about this training and that training, and everybody wants that, but it takes time.
Yes.
It takes so much time. Yeah. And knowledge is power, education is key. Those are amazing points that you just made, but it's also, it's like we can think this way, but then we have to understand that it takes a lot of education to get that trust with your horse, to get to that place of self-awareness and identifying, understanding and being tuned into when your horse is mirroring you. And Yvonne, real quick, I wanted to add, that's a beautiful thing that your young horse constantly wants to come in for love. That's beautiful. It doesn't get any better than that. And that's a mirror of your beautiful heart and how much you adore her and love her. And you don't want to lose that. That's the key, is you want to keep building on that amazing bond that you have with your young horse as you introduce its education, whatever you're educating it on. I hate to use the word training, however you're developing your horse. So so one more question. Thanks, Emily. That was perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
One more question.
Pamela, I appreciate these conversations so much wisdom and insight. Thank you. Getting my horse to Sunday, I can hardly wait to begin this adventure. I'll be enrolling in Mastery membership soon. What should my expectations be as in regards to the riding experience? How soon should it happen? I am in no hurry. I really want to give him time to settle in and feel comfortable.
Hi, Pamela, and welcome. First, how old is your horse? Is he new to you? It sounds like you have a new horse.
Yeah.
And how old is he? And thank you. Yeah, the Mastery membership, and I'll be talking about this in our private webinar, Facebook, on Friday, but I'm gonna let you girls know now too. We're gonna start filming next week a couple of new videos for the Mastery membership. And basically, I'm bringing this up now because there's so much to the lunge work that has to be done correctly in order to develop the horse emotionally and physically and for riding. And so anyway, you guys are going to be excited with these new videos. So basically, you guys have all the building blocks in the Mastery membership, but I'm identifying some patterns in everyone's questions that are very similar, like what should the big picture look like? And, I got to refine a couple of things. But yeah, Pam, how old? 14 goods. And is he new to you?
I'm waiting for that reply.
Because if you're acquiring an older horse that's 14, he comes with a lot of experience. And do you know if it's been positive or negative? And the one thing that one of many things the Mastery program is going to be able to do for you is help you identify, see the strengths or weaknesses, right, Emily and Sabrina? It helps you really identify the strengths and weaknesses of where your horse is mentally, emotionally, and physically, so we can create that well-being and balance. And especially for riding, as I always say, you want to develop the movement first before you ride the movement. Yes.
New horse.
It's a new horse. Yeah. The Mastery membership is perfect for that. And it's perfect for starting your young horses. Absolutely. And Emily, we lost you. So hopefully she'll come back on before we quit. So yeah, it'll help you with that too. Gives you all those building blocks. So, all right, well, let's wait for Emily. It happened earlier before we went live, and it happened with me 3 times last week. So it's Facebook, you guys, and Zoom. I tell you, it's not our internet.
Oh, there she is.
All right, Emily, let me get you back on, girl. Crazy. Hey, you.
There she is.
There you are. Oh, turn your
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay.
It's not. It might be your internet, but it's this stupid technology.
Well, my phone over because I'm in the car, and so all of a sudden it's like cool phone down to continue. I was like, oh no.
Oh my gosh, that is technology. That's your phone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. Thank you, love. I can't wait to, maybe we'll hook up with these once a month. I love it.
No, this is fantastic. I appreciate the opportunity and, love you guys. And
Love you. And this is so good for you on your journey. Yeah. And you and I do coaching, and I know we'll talk more when we do an immersion this summer together.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, this is really cool because this is right up your alley. And if you do want to change career paths at some point and get into the equine, assisted learning or equine facilitated learning, whatever, using this work, the methods of learning. You got it, girl. You're well on your way.
Thank you. And Jonas, we may try to find a way to bring the horses, because yesterday he's like, I want to bring a Morris so bad.
I think it would be amazing.
We're working on it.
All right. Well, we got time. We'll talk about it. Okay. All right. Love you guys. Bless you. May you always be one with your horse. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you, everyone. And stay tuned. May's going to have all new podcasts. I got to get that list together. All right. All right. We're signing off. Bye. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks, Em.
Bye. Love you guys.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.